So to begin your Alma Thomas inspired rocket ship, the first things you're going to need is a gray square of paper and a large dark blue square or rectangle of paper. So we're going to create our rocket ship first. We know that we can create a symmetrical shape by folding and cutting our paper. So I'm going to fold my square in half. Then on the folded side, I'm going to draw half of my rocket ship. So I am right-handed, so I'm gonna flip my paper so that I am drawing on this folded side. So if you're left-handed, yours might want to go this way. So half of a rocket ship could be half of an oval. It could be kind of like pointy on the top and then flat on the bottom. So however you would like to make your rocket ship. Then you're gonna keep your paper folded while you cut it out. So just a reminder, my rocket sits with the middle of the paper being the fold. So you wanna double check if your rocket is drawn on this side, then it's gonna just cut it in half. Okay, so here is the body of my rocket ship. Now, before I glue this down, I'm gonna add the fins and some fire coming out of my rocket ship. So I've got a bunch of colors of scrap paper for you that you can use. So maybe I wanna do red for my fins. So whatever color you want to do for your rocket ship, you're gonna put it under your rocket. That way you can see what you are drawing on the top and you can see exactly what shape you need it to be. So I am going to fold this paper again. And this way I will make two fins at the same time. Then I'm gonna tuck my paper underneath and I can sketch out a little rocket ship fin. So I've got these glue sponges for you to use. So we need to glue our fins to the back of our rocket ship. So I'm gonna take just this bottom part of my rocket ship and kind of press it on the glue sponge. So now it's got some glue back there. And then I'm gonna put my rocket fins on that glue. Now I can glue my rocket to my paper. So I'm gonna dip the rest of my rocket ship onto my glue sponge. And then just place it in my sky somewhere. So I'm gonna place it kind of high up on my paper so I have lots of room for the flames to come out. Okay, so now we're gonna make the first layer of flames. So I'm just gonna tear some pieces of like maybe yellow and red and orange. So then I'm gonna glue all my pieces on with my glue sponge. So that's just gonna be the first layer of our fire, and then we are gonna add our mosaic papers on the rest of the dark blue paper in just a second. So first we're gonna finish our rocket ship. So now I have these fun paper punches for you, and they punch out different shapes. So you can use these to add things like windows or designs on your rocket ships. And then I also have a star, so we can add some stars in the sky before we do our mosaic. So I'm gonna work on decorating my rocket ship with my scrap paper. All right, the last thing we're gonna add today is a moon. So you can use another piece of gray paper for this, and you can either cut a circle moon or a crescent moon. So if you want a circle moon, you can just draw out a circle and then cut it out. And then if you want a crescent moon, all you need to do is cut a letter C out of this moon. So you can draw it first if you want. So letter C, and then cut that part off. So then you can decide where you want your moon to go in the sky. All right, guys, so today we are gonna stop here. So we finished our rocket ship and our background with stars and a moon. And then next time we're gonna start our mosaic. So we're gonna start the mosaic fire and the mosaic background, which is inspired by Alma Thomas. So when you are ready to clean up, you can put your scrap papers back in the scrap paper bin. So if your papers are, if they have a lot of space left on the papers, you can put those back. If your papers do not have a lot of space left, you can recycle them. So like this one might have a little bit left, so we'll recycle that one. And then these have a lot of space left, so we will keep those. Then you can throw away your trash, put your tools away, and put your artwork on the drying rack. Okay, so today we're gonna work on the fire of our rocket ship, and we're gonna make this with a mosaic. So remember, we just talked about a mosaic is when you use little pieces of paper and you glue them all to make one bigger picture, just like Alma Thomas did, okay? So I have a whole bunch of different hot colors for you to use. Some of them are painted, like with texture. Some of them are just plain. So you could use both, or you could just choose one or the other, okay? So I'm gonna start with like maybe 4 different colors. So I like these 4. And these papers are not like a full rectangle, and that's okay, because remember, we're just using little bitty pieces, okay? So you can start with 4, and then you can always go back and get more. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut my papers into strips, because I don't know if you noticed, but Alma Thomas has almost like, kind of looks like bricks in her artwork. It's like little rectangles. So we're gonna start with some strips first. So I'll start with a couple colors, and then you're gonna cut these pieces into smaller rectangles. So you could stack a bunch of them at once like this, probably the fastest way to do it. And then you can just snip and snip and snip. And then you've got all these little mosaic pieces to work with. Thumbs up? Okay. So I only have 2 colors right here, but remember, you can use a lot more than me. I'm just doing this to kind of go faster. So last time we used our glue sponges, we're gonna use these again. And I'm gonna start making an outline of where I want my flames to go out of my rocket. So you could do like a pattern for this, or you could just kind of go for it. So this is just the outline first, and then I'm gonna fill it in. So I'm gonna go all the way down to the edges on this side and this side. Okay, press them down. And then I would also do this side. So I'm gonna move on so that you guys can have some time, but you're gonna do 2 sides, so it's almost like a triangle. Thumbs up? Okay. So now I need to start working on filling in my space. So pretend I've got a line right there. Now I'm gonna use my mosaic pieces, and I could, maybe I'll add some more colors in here now. I can use these pieces. I can cut shorter ones or a little bit longer ones, and I'm gonna start filling in my empty space around my rocket ship. And I'm gonna try to keep them kind of in these lines, just like Alma Thomas did. right, so once I've got all of my orange and red papers filled in for the flames, I'm gonna flip my paper over and smooth out the back so that all those little pieces can stick down. So the last part is we are going to do the same mosaic process, but with cool colors, so like purples and blues for the nighttime sky. So just like with the orange papers, I've got some cool painted papers for you that have some texture on them, and then also some plain colors of construction paper. So we're gonna do the same thing with this. We are going to cut our paper into strips first. Then I'm gonna stack them all together and cut them into little rectangles to be our mosaic tiles. All right, so now I can start gluing them onto the background. So for the back of our sky, we don't want it to be the same curve as the flames because then it will look too similar to the flames. So instead, the back is going to be going all either vertically or horizontally. So you could make your lines go side to side or up and down. So I think for mine, I'm gonna go up and down, and I'm just gonna start on one edge of my paper so that I have a nice straight line to follow. All right, so I have gotten all the way up to the top of my paper. So now I'm gonna start on my next row. So I'm going to make it straight up and down, just like this one. Then when you get to something like a star in your background, make sure that your paper is not too long so that it doesn't overlap. So here I've got a long blue and a shorter blue, so I can kind of hold it up next to the star. That one would actually cover my star. So I'm gonna pick one that will not cover my star. And then same thing with my moon. I wanna make sure that the paper that I'm picking will not cover up my moon. So now is where it starts to get kind of like a puzzle. So here my orange paper is going diagonally. So I did not put my blue paper right here next to my second row. I moved it up so it fits into that little puzzle space that's left between the orange and the blue stripe. And same thing with my star. I want to make sure that I am putting my paper around my star, not on top of it. Okay, so once you get to like halfway on your rocket, it's a lot easier if you turn your paper and then start on the other straight side. So this time I'm gonna go from this side in because we have a lot of irregular shapes on this side. So I think it's gonna be easier for me if I start on a straight edge just like I did this time on this side, so then my lines won't get all crooked. So I'm gonna flip my paper and start on this straight edge and work my way in.
All right, so now I've got my vertical lines of mosaic tiles going up and down my background. So now I'm just gonna see if I can fit just a few more of these guys next to my rocket. Or if you can't fit any next to yours, that's okay too. All right, so the very last thing I'm gonna do is flip my paper over, give it one final rub on the back. All right, so there is our finished Alma Thomas inspired space themed artwork, and we talked about hot colors and cold colors. We talked about a mosaic being a picture made out of several small little shapes. We also talked about symmetry and of course Alma Thomas. So when you're finished with your artwork today, you can put it on the drying rack and clean up your area.